Morning.
Hello, I'm great.
Awesome. Thank you very much. We're going to have a very interesting conversation today about the 7 habits of successful people. Actually, is effective people, right? But when you're effective, we imagine that you will be successful. So it's one of my favorite books for time management and trying to do things as I'm going to approach in my career. And my goal is to go back to this book for guidance, and for me is more of a manual. Like it's something that you read and you go back to. So even if you haven't had a chance to read the entire book, it's okay because it's so practical. You can go back and refer to the things that he's talking about. Okay. There are 2 parts of this book. He does break it down into your self and then how you interact with others. And we like to look first into how can you do something for yourself in order to be more effective. And then we talk about the skills that we can have when we work with others to be effective.
Mhm.
And we're going to focus more on what can we do for ourselves. The first thing that I like to say is everything starts within us, right? So when you're going through changes, when you come to a different country and you approach life and career, is about how you see yourself, how you position yourself, right? I do have a quick story that I want to share because I didn't see myself in the best light when I moved here, but my English was non existent. I didn't speak English. So I didn't put myself in a position where I wanted to be at Microsoft and I wanted to be an executive. My goal was to survive. So my goal was to just get any job, just do some basic money, and that'll be fine. So that's how I saw myself. And I remember I had a friend who came in and she spoke a little more English than me. She had her master's, I only had a bachelor's degree. And right away, she said, I want to work for Amazon. I want to work for Google. And I was like, this girl's crazy. Like, we can't just get here and start working for Google and Amazon. And sure enough, in 5 years, she was working for Amazon. And my English at that time was even better than hers. But she already got here with that idea in mind, and she already saw herself doing that, right? So it was different from me, who didn't have that vision for myself. So when I think about what I can do, I start from how I see myself. Am I really putting myself in that place, right? So I want to go over the ones that I like the most, the examples that he talked about, and I want to get your perspective as well. How do you see it? Okay? So if we start with the being proactive, I want you to just think about how you are being proactive in your daily life when we are talking about career, right? Because our focus is how we are prioritizing or at least putting effort towards our career as a woman. And when we talk about being proactive, we are, as you can see here on the screen, I took this phrase from the book and I think it's so impactful. Is to understand that I am the creative force of my life. So you are the one who will create your future. So we are not victims. It's for the immigrant, it's a lot of times we are, oh my God, I moved here and I don't speak the language and I don't know anyone and I don't have the resources. I don't have the money. We can really go into that, right? Easily. Because it's true. It can be true if you make it true for yourself. Like to this day, sometimes I'm like, oh, but I wish I could be working at this other company, but I don't know anybody. how do I get there? You know, probably somebody else is going to do a better job. Then you become the victim. But I want us to take responsibility and see how we can do the things necessary for us to put ourselves in that place, right? So I'm going to start with Vanessa, because I think Vanessa does have a lot of the consequences of moving here because of your husband, right? And now
Right.
you need to find your own place. How can you see yourself being more proactive?
Yes. First, thank you, Natalia, for the invite. It's a pleasure working with you. As I said before, I connected with you right away because of your life experience, your professional career. And so, as you mentioned, I moved here a year ago. I had a career in Brazil where I worked for international companies. I have a lot of experience. My English, it's improving. I stay out of the country for 5 years because I live here before in other states. However, I need to, my focus, my proactive point is I need to improve my English first to be ready to to achieve the job of my dream here in the same company that I work at in Brazil. The, so I think the first thing in the proactive point is you have the circle where you have the points that you can take responsibility and have an action plan to get the where your objective of career, your vision. So in 5 years, where I want to be, in 2 years. So I think we need to break down in small steps. Otherwise, it's just a big dream, and we don't have all the action plan. We cannot have this done. So that's my plan is first improve the English, working with you to improve my formal English and also my approach, how to be ready for interviews, also to manage my vision. You are working with me in my career vision, how to achieve the dream job. And with these small steps, I am sure that we will get there.
That's great. That's awesome. I really like that you talked about breaking it down. Like sometimes it's very much what we need, right? Like we all have that vision, and we're going to touch on that. Like we need to have the end game, right? It's not easy, and I'm guilty of that too. Sometimes life, everything is great, and what is next? Sometimes we are in a place where everything is not great and we really feel stuck. Finding that vision is also hard. So breaking it down into actionable steps, right? What is the action is going to result into something that's going to bring me that fulfillment and makes me feel more confident to take the next step, right? So I think Bruna can relate to that about getting the first step. You got an internship. That's fantastic. So that is a very measurable step. So Bruna, do you want to tell me a little bit how you feel on being proactive? What have you been doing?
I think my proactive is also related to that other concept of the book that I think begin with the end in mind, and as the example you gave me. So, for example, since when I was applying for the school, I asked, "Oh, can I have an internship?" And then I remember that for the school I applied, I officially could not have an internship. So, and then anyway, I wanted to study there, and I got a scholarship. So I I talked to with the coordinator, and then she told me like, oh, actually, you can do an internship. We just have to get an authorization from the coordinator of the program, and then it will replace analogy for an internship. So since there, before I start the class, I think I was proactive in this mean to thinking ahead and already taking actions. before to just
Mhm.
wait. Maybe they tell me that I could or not. So I
Mhm.
think I'm proactive in this mean I'm mostly Hindu as I was thinking ahead and already trying to talk with the people and take the necessary actions.
Definitely. And that's so important when you are, like in my case as well, when I was in grad school, I wasn't waiting for people to tell me, here is an internship for you, and here you can get an interview, and just coming and sharing what I could do, but constantly looking for what am I going to do with what I have, right? So if I can get the best internship, I'm going to try for something else and I'm going to continue to interview because that takes a lot of resilience. That will not come easy. And our careers, most of the time, don't come as a gift. We have to work for it, right? We do have to be proactive and go after our objectives. I have, let me talk about the second one, which we kind of touched on, which is our, begin with the end in mind. We have all thought about what we want and what we would like to accomplish in our careers and kind of how we can align that with our personal lives because we, as women, we do think about our personal lives a lot, right? At least in my view, a lot of the guys, they just take that job and they move and they think, oh, of course, my wife is going to come with me and everything's just going to follow along. And we have the tendency to think first, if I get that job, what is going to happen to my family? If I work as a flight attendant, I had someone message me saying that she would love to work with me on being a flight attendant and trying to help her with the mindset because all she could think about is how that would affect her family. And I said, have you talked to your husband? Have you thought about creating a plan how that would look like for your family? If you would have to sleep away for 3 days during the week, how would your husband be able to take care of the kids? I don't know. So let's talk about how your success would impact your personal life, right? So in my case, for example, my success right now means I cannot drop off and pick up my daughter at school. I cannot go to Brazil whenever I want because I don't have that many vacations because it's not that I don't have, I honestly cannot take that much vacation. I can't stay away for that much. So yes, impacts my family, but at the same time, there's some things I have in mind for my career, and I'm working towards that, right? So when you think about end in mind, like what career and how do you see your success impacting your family in a way that you would work out? So do you want to share a little bit, Vanessa, like what would be the perfect career for you? How would that work out?
Yes. In my case, I also think about how to balance the personal life and work balance and the job. But we need to think that is actually everything needs to work together. It's hard to change. I think, but this is my personal, it's my work life. You have to match them. So as you said, everything must work in your schedule. Otherwise, you'll not be successful in life. I think you need to be happy at work and with our personal life. So, in my case, I have my husband. He's a vice president in a big company, so he's very busy. I don't have family here to help us, so my support is my daughter's school. So in my case, I have everything set up, but in for a job, what I think I need a hybrid environment that I can work from home and also go into the office. That is important to me for social and also to development communications point for me. So this is the setup that it would be work for me. If I need to go like every day going for customer visits. It's not going the perfect vision for this time of my life, because my daughter is she's just 5. She will turn 5 years old, so we need to make sure that we have I think we need to match, as you said, the work and the personal. I would, for me, for example, the flight attendant career wouldn't be possible because I cannot be out of my home for like overnight. So that's an example. So I'm working on it to find a job and matching these requirements. I think you mentioned another question. Could you say that again?
Yeah, I just want to see if when you realize that you need a hybrid workplace, right? What will be the perfect situation for you? So you would have a place close to your house that you could go for the days necessary, but not every day. And your husband would be able to help with your child 2 or 3 times a week, where he would pick her up. Just creating that vision. I think I want you to understand that creating the vision, having it very clearly in steps, it's not going to be, this is how it's going to happen, but this is how I would like to happen, right? So it helps to create that vision.
Yes, that's what I thought. Yes, a company that I just 1 hour from home or 1 hour and a half, and I also talk with my husband already, so he's able to pick my daughter in the school or drop her off. So that's an option as well. So I thought about that. And also I worked since I started my career. I worked also in a at home, so I know how to manage it. Sometimes you need to work after hours to deliver what you need, because as you said, you need to balance in everything. So sometimes I just finish my family things like at night, and like 8 p.m. I come back to the office at home, and I finish what I need. I think you understand that.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
yeah, this is very usual when you have a hybrid or just a home office job. Not every day you're going to work after hours, but sometimes it's very necessary. And I'm happy with that. It's not a problem for me. This is very important. I think you have to understand and not like be a burden, like, oh, I need to work. No, I'm happy with that. That's my choice. So
exactly. That's great. That's a great point. Because, for example, sometimes I go, like, I miss my daughter so much on Fridays. Like, it's always on Fridays that I just want to go and pick her up at 2 p.m. So I just go pick her up, stay with her a little bit. So that would compromise a little bit of the hours I didn't do on that Friday afternoon. So when I'm able to go back into the computer, I can work until midnight. But I chose to do that. So you can feel that I had that vision, the perfect vision, where I would work every day and no interruptions, and I would stop at 5 and go out for a drink. It didn't happen.
yeah. In one point is also when you are looking for a job, also look for the company and how are the environment for parents. I think this is very important, because if you have a company that respects and provide the support, it's also amazing. I worked in Brazil in the last 2 years in a home office, full-time home office. And I was since like 7:30 or 7 a.m. because sometimes my clients were in Japan or China or whatever, United States, and so the times are different, and I have to start earlier or finish very late. And in this case, my husband worked with me all the time. And sometimes it was hard, actually, as a mom, because I didn't have time to my daughter. So what I said, like working with the company, that I said with my boss, so today I need to pick my daughter. So I won't be able to have the teen meeting, on the video because I will be driving into school, but I will be on the meeting when I'm driving. So this was nice because my boss understood, and we set like weekly deals for that, so I could meet also my personal life needs.
Yeah, well, that's a great example. And so, Bruna, you are in a little bit of a different personal life stage. Bruna started now in your personal life. I know you don't have kids yet, and you're a little bit younger than us. We're not going to touch on that. So but how do you envision that, combination of personal life and career, and how do you see yourself achieving that balance?
So I think my inspiration is all towards to my professional career, and that's why I came here to the USA. However, I have a boyfriend who live together, and he has a limitation, like he has to be local here in DC. So I know if I get a job like in other states, could be a little hard. I don't know if how you'd manage this moving. I'm not sure he really would be able to move. So I see that. So in my idea, my vision for my perfect, no, I don't know if I can say perfect, but my idea, job and vision would be to get a job here, around it, we call GMV area, to see Maryland and Virginia, an international company. That's part of my goal. Nowadays, I think I'm more open to change different fields in marketing. But my vision basically would be an international company here, so I can stay with my boyfriend. Yeah, I think, and a company that provides me a career, be able to grow in this company, would be great too. So that's kind of my limitations that I can meet with my personal life.
Great. Okay. I like the way we have so many options when we are younger, right? Like we have a lot of more flexibility. And you know how it's interesting? Life works itself out. I always say that because when I started dedicating my time on Microsoft, I was single. I had no husband, had no kids. I was completely single. So I was able to dedicate a lot of my time. I didn't have to, honestly, because there is no expectation that you would work yourself 12 hours a day. So I did because I felt that if I just delivered a little extra every time, I'll put myself in a position that I would grow, grow in the company a little faster. And that's what happened. So that's great because when I became a mom and I start having other responsibilities, I can't afford to over deliver all the time. Like there are months where I find myself over delivering. So there are specific months that I know I need to compromise myself and deliver more at work and do a little less at home. And that's the next thing that we talk about is put things first. It actually is put first things first, which means we all have to understand where our values lie and where you are willing to prioritize. So you recognize what is first and you make sure that that stays first, right? So like we said, we always need to have some flexibility. But flexibility all the time, then nothing is a priority. So if I say my family is always my priority, but I'm working every day till midnight and I am not able to give the time that my daughter needs, then I'm not putting first things first, right? When we talk about my priority is to work in Maryland, Virginia, but you get a job that's just a little bit out and you have to go every day and you're commuting all the time and you feel like you don't have time for your boyfriend, then you're not putting first things first, right? When you identify that, like, and it's natural for us as women trying to accomplish everything, at the same time. And we want everyone to be happy and we want to make everything perfect. For example, I had the funny story. The other day was Teachers Appreciation Day. And I was the one supposed to bring the breakfast, of course. I said, of course, I'll bring the breakfast. I'll bring some coffee. And I always go by Dunkin' Donuts, and I can easily bring a coffee, container and some donuts. Of course, I can do that. And that was on Monday. And I woke up at 8 a.m. with my manager calling me and asking me to jump on a call and talking about this huge deal that we're working on. And I'm going on and on and on and on. 11 a.m. I realized I didn't go. I didn't bring any breakfast. I didn't drop off the donuts. I didn't do any of the things that I said I was going to do. So I felt really bad, right? I'm like, oh my God, I didn't do it. I didn't even drop my daughter off because I usually try to drop her off. And they, of course, didn't say anything, but they probably missed out on having their donuts and coffee. If I had put that first thing first and said, that's my absolute priority, the moment my manager called, I should have snapped and said, I can talk to you, but first I need to go pick up the coffee and the donuts. And can I call you from the car, like Vanessa said? Or if not, this is super important, and it was, I understand I had to be in front of my computer. I should have said to my husband, like, I need you to pick up the donuts, I need you to pick up the coffee. So it's about knowing, realizing it, just putting it somewhere, like a reminder, and putting your life. Like, this is just a practical example, but it's a simple one. Like, sometimes we are compromising on the bigger things. And that's what we need to be careful of. Like, don't compromise on the important things in life. Like, once you identified, stick to it, right? For example, if you exercise a lot, if you love to exercise, but your new job is going to demand that you don't exercise because you're not going to have time, instead of exercising for 30 minutes in the morning, you're going to have to do the commute. You're going to have to be driving or in the bus, and you're never going to have the opportunity to exercise. That's not going to work out because at some point, you're going to regret it, right? That job is going to become a burden for you. So when you have that first thing, identify that and don't compromise on that. Like, it became for me so interesting to see how anything that I forget related to my daughter becomes a huge deal for me. And when you don't have kids, you don't understand. And I used to be that person thinking, what is the big deal? What is the big deal? You forgot the donuts. Who cares? Right? It's not about the donuts. It's you feel like you're a bad mom because you didn't go do what you're supposed to do, right? So can you identify that one thing? Like, we can focus on that one little thing. Like, if I tell you, Bruna, what is this one thing that you are not willing right now to compromise for a job?
It's a hard question because I feel like so I have done an exercise, a similar exercise where I list my values, and then I try to do somehow I try to prioritize my values and have this follow this preference order. And my first one was my professional career, and then followed by my relationship, because that's also a factor. I live with someone, is my day to day, so it's part of my happiness. I don't know, because now my professional thing is like my top preferred thing. But I definitely, for example, if I have a situation, I have 2 job opportunities. One, I wanted more, but just like in another state, and another one, it's fine and it's here. Maybe I would get the one here because I can manage. I can have both of my values, so that's things I could do. But the thing that should be over my job, professional things. Maybe it would be my healthy. If I'm sick, for sure, I'm gonna take care of my health and things like that.
Okay. I can tell that for you, of course, your relationship is very, very important, right? So you see how you having your boyfriend around is gonna make you achieve your goals easier because
Mhm.
that's normal, it's natural. So that could be the thing is I'm not willing to compromise my current relationship. And that's fine. It's not that you're putting your boyfriend and compromising your professional life.
Mhm.
Like it's not the case, right? Because if in that case you would just say, whatever my boyfriend goes, I go, and I'm not gonna take care of my career. That's
Mhm.
not what you're saying. You're just saying I would definitely prefer not to compromise on my time with my boyfriend and my relationship. So you have identified one of your priorities,
Mhm.
and it's good because that's definitely something that has been a good impact in your life, right? Like in Brazil, here, that's your family here,
Yeah,
right?
and he really. So one thing I realized, because I used to be so like, work first, and that's my preference because that's what I feel I have been work my whole life for.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, mostly during my graduation program, I realized that my boyfriend, it's like a really support for me. He like always gets my back, like, even about
Mm-hmm.
study and work. So if I be apart, if I not be with him, whatever, like I definitely do miss something. Like he somehow he helped me as well in my career, right? Like
Yeah,
directly. So now I
definitely.
realize that.
Mm-hmm. That's an important realization for sure. And you, Vanessa, what do you think
Yeah,
is that's one thing that you say, no, I'm not crossing that line. This is the first thing for me.
yeah, it's my quality time with my daughter.
Mhm.
And secondly, my health, because I did this in the past. I put all the work first, and my family in the second, and in my health in the third. And what happens is I had a little time with my family and nothing to me. And I think it's like you are in the airplane. If something happens, you need the oxygen mask. You put
Put
in
yourself first.
yourself first. So this is very important because if you are not good in health, how you take care even of your family or your job? Because if you get sick, the next day someone will be on your shoes, on your position. So they
Yeah.
change this very quickly. So you need to be, and also to have more. To deliver better results for the company, you need to be healthy, mental health, and also
Mm-hmm.
physical, physically. So this is very important to me to have a quality of time that I can dedicate to my daughter. Obviously not all the day, but sometime, and
Mm-hmm.
to take care of my health.
That's
Um,
a great point. I even forgot about that, but it's true. Like if you don't have that me first time, right? Like sometimes when you wake up in the morning is about making breakfast for my daughter and running the coffee machine and everything. This morning I remembered I should be drinking water with lime, and I never do. But I realized my dad has had some health issues because of
mhm,
his kidney, and the
mhm,
doctor emphasized that. Like if you knew the benefits of drinking water with lime in the morning, you should have started that young. And
mhm,
I put that in my mind, but I never do it. And when you are not feeling well, the first thing you want to do, let me get that lime, let me do something to feel better quick. So yes, I think both of you mentioned healthy, like being healthy is very important. So that's
mhm,
a great way for us to position ourselves because once we are the base for our families, right?
mhm,
Like we don't even realize, like Bruna, you might not realize, but you are probably the base for your boyfriend to feel well enough so he can go to work, knowing that he can come back home and have a lovely girlfriend. And Vanessa's husband, he feels well enough to go to work and do everything he needs to do as a VP, because he knows when he gets home, it's not about the dinner that's ready there. It's about the care that she's doing to his daughter and how she cares for him and for his mental health as well, right? So as a woman, we do have this power of making others in our house feel stable enough to go do the best that they can. But if we are not doing the best that we can to ourselves, it doesn't help anyone, right?
Yeah. Yes. And a second thing is I usually work in a fast-paced environment. So always talking with dealing directly with customers, and the requests were endless. So if I stay working until I finish all the emails, all the requests, I would work all night. So I think when I use it to work in a fast-paced environment, you have to deal with put things first. So what something will happen? What is the impact if I do not answer this now? Or I can put this for tomorrow. Because sometimes we are overreacting, I think, for oh, I need to answer now. But sometimes you need to you can have some like at least 24 hours. So you need to manage your time better for to have time for you. So that's for me it's very important, and I learned it during these years.
You
It's
learned
not
the hard
easy.
way.
Yeah, in a hard way. Yeah, in a hard way. But it was worth because now I know how to prioritize, and I also said to my husband, he's very busy, and I said you need to make time for yourself, for us. So that's but it's hard, especially when you have a lot of responsibility. Don't feel bad about the donuts and coffee. I know the feeling. I was in the also the appreciation teacher event in my daughter school, and it was so interesting because one of the moms told that she would be there, and unfortunately she couldn't do because she has an emergency in her work. And she's a single mom, so just an example. She cannot count for a husband or another person. If she doesn't work in that time, she could lose the job. So it's very sad that she couldn't be there because the child was sad. But I think in this case, she took what was best for both of them.
Yeah, she
So
had to make that hard call, right?
hard call, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to finish our conversation today. We are getting towards the end of our self-assessment for the book. With this one thing I realized at the end that I feel like it brings everything together is about you being your own manager. Like have that discipline. Like become your own boss. Don't expect your boss to tell you what your vision should be, what your priorities should be, how you should be managing your time. Like, if you are your own manager, you will be able to tell yourself what is important, when you're going to do things, and how you're going to be disciplined to do what is needed, right? I feel like that was a good takeaway from this part of the book. I realized that we have talked a lot about how we see ourselves and how that is going to impact our career. So I'm very excited to see our next steps into more specific conversations on career development as well. It's important to have the big picture, right, before we start drawing into the practical things. And I really like this book. I hope you guys have time to go back to the book, read more, and use some of the guidance that is in the book. That he actually has some matrix. I just saw it today, to be honest with you. The matrix of time. I'm going to implement that so quickly because I need this. And he has the quadrants of importancy, for example. So when you want to make a decision of what is important, you look into, is it, like you just said, Vanessa, is it high impact, low value? Is it high impact, high value? And start to make decisions using that. So we might go back to this book because I think it's a very practical book. And I want us to understand that there's so many ways to go about career, leadership, and personal development. We can use some resources from different books, but having the discussion and analyzing how we are in our life and career, it really helps us put things in perspective, right?
Yes, I agree. Yes, time management's everything, as you said. Yeah, you need to manage this. And I did a training in the company that mentioned, I think, was this metric. So this is so amazing. We need to work on it again. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, that I've been learning recently since I moved, and then step by step. And yeah, I see that I need to have this management of my life, and that definitely makes a lot of difference.
That's great. All right, ladies. So it's great talking to you. And I'm looking for our next conversation.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you so
Thank you so much,
much.
Natalia.
Have a good
See you
day.
soon. Thank you.
Thank
Have a
you.
good day. Bye bye.
You too.